Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, and I'd like to also say thank you to Roger Sears. 17 years ago, the Paulding High School Athletic Hall of Fame was a dream of his, and he really pushed hard to make this a reality, and what a wonderful thing it's been, and I've had the privilege to be a part of it for several years. So let's give Roger Sears a very well-deserved round of applause. Thank you very much. And let's start tonight with our first team that we are honoring in the hall, the 1957 Paulding High School football team. They were the first undefeated, untied team in school history as they posted an 8-0 record. This 8-0 record was part of a 16-game winning streak that spanned over 2 seasons. Not only did this football team finish without a blemish on their record, but they also shut out 7 of the 8 opponents that they faced, only giving up 6 points to Rockford High School, giving up less than 1 point per game. They outscored their opponents by an average of 26 points per contest that season. And this team consisted of 3 all-state performers in John Henry Causer, Jim Paulus, and George Moronis, and also had Paulding High School Athletic Hall of Fame members in Mike Goings, Michael Connor, John Henry Causer, and Jerry DeLong. Some of the members of this team went on to be part of the 1960 Class A state championship track team that we will be honoring shortly as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1957 Paulding High School football team. And let's please welcome Mr. Kevin DeLong with a few words.
Good evening and welcome to the Night of the Champions. All the heroes from Paulding are here tonight to celebrate with you their induction to the Hall of Fame. Every man here deserves your applause. The Paulding football started in 1914 and it has existed for 99 years. And from 1914 until 1978, Paulding had 1 undefeated and untied team. That is the 1957 football team. This football team had some of the toughest customers that ever played football for Paulding High School. They were part of a tradition that lasted 5 years where they won the Northwest Buckeye League Trophy every year for the consecutive time of 5 years, which is amazing. The Paulding football team of 1957, I first heard about them in 1971, where I went to a shoe store across from the old Chief supermarket where all the old-timers used to hang out. At that time in 71, the 3 teams they talked about were the 1941 football team, the 1957 football team, and the 1959 football team. These 3 teams were the consensus top teams that Paulding had up to that time. But the old-timers always said the 57 team was something special because they had the only undefeated and untied team for 64 years. They were not matched until 1978 by the great team of Coach Steve Clark. When you think of the heroes of Paulding, the 4 coaches that were associated with greatness are here today. James Kroll, Steve Clark, Jim Caserta, and Paul Nestor was the track coach for the state championship track team. The Paulding team of 1957 did something that has not been matched. They only gave up 6 points. And in the history of Paulding schools for the 4 undefeated and untied teams of 57, 78, 83, and 88, they are the unmatched leaders of this. Now, I would like to announce the players on the undefeated, untied 1957 Paulding football team. Please come forward so you can be acknowledged. first player is Alva Arnold. He passed away. The next player is Michael Boffman. Please raise your hand. Jim Connor, he is deceased. Nikki Connor. Alan Dangler. Jerry DeLong. Steve Dietrich. He's the captain of the team. He was All-State Honorable Mention. Larry Freshwater. Mike Goings. George Hyman. Jim Hyman. Jim Hutchins, he's deceased. Fred Eiler. Bill Johans. John Henry Kauscher. He was an All-State player. John Keeler. John Kaiser. He's honorable mention, All-State selection. Dennis Crick. Joe LaFountain. Charles Lehman. Martin Martinez. Rafael Martinez. Eugene McKay. George Moronis, he's deceased. He was an All-State selection. Bill Mont. Jim Paulus, he was an All-State selection. John Heber. Larry Rothenbureau, he's deceased. Ed Straley. Jim Temple. Ron Winter. Frank Ybarra. Pete Zimmer. The head coach was Reinhard Bells. He is deceased. The assistant coach is James Kroll. He's here. The team managers were Steve Santo, Dave Santo, and John Allensworth. Please, everybody, stand and give some applause for these heroes. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, now approaching the 1960 Paulding High School boys track team, the only state championship team in Paulding High School history. Let's give them a round of applause. This team had a very successful season as they also won championships at the Tiffin Relays, Bryan Relays, Paulding Relays, and won the Northwest Buckeye League Championship. They were runners-up at the Northwest Ohio District Track Meet before going on to win the Class A State Championship. Coach Paul Nestor said regarding this squad, and I quote, "Sometimes you wait a lifetime for a big winner. I've been here only 4 weeks, and the area comes up with a state championship with Paulding High's well-knit track squad, quote unquote, from Coach Paul Nestor. Several members of this team went on to become inducted individually into the Paulding High School Athletic Hall of Fame, and those members include Mike Goings and Michael Connor. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1960 state championship Paulding track team. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Jim Cox, representing this team. Jim?
Thank you very much. My sister and I, along with Mom and Dad, moved to Paulding in '53. My father was the superintendent of schools, and early in his time here, he hired Richard Belts to coach football. As you can see, Coach Belts knew how to coach football. And he was also the track coach. My dad had liked track and had coached track himself at Pandora, including a 2-time state mile champion in 1944 and 45. So Coach Belts comes first. The facility gets improved. If you can imagine back then, Paulding had the best track, one of the best tracks in Northwest Ohio, and it was just cinders. And so track begins to become an important sport at Paulding. I live close across there, and I could hear the kids yelling in the spring, and I would ask my mom if I could come over here, and I would come over and watch them run. They were the big kids, and of course I was the little kid, a 4th or 5th or 6th grader. Well, Coach Belts leaves Paulding. Coach Nestor gets hired to coach football and also track. The pieces were in place. We had a good facility. We had some tradition. We had some young men that were running track and being successful. And now we have the right coach, Coach Paul Nestor, to produce, along with this team, something that is being properly recognized 53 years later. Tonight we honor the state champion 1960 track team, the first team state champion at Paulding High School, the first team state champion in any sport in Paulding County, and to this day, this group of men with their coaches stands as the only team state champion in Paulding High School history. Congratulations to all of you on this accomplishment. I want to welcome back Roger Sear to introduce the team members.
Thank you, Jim. What I'm going to do now, when I told you earlier, when I call your name, just please step forward, or your representative come up and just give us a big wave. First off, ladies and gentlemen, we have head coach Paul Nestor. We have assistant coach Leo Steiger, and he is no longer with us. If he has someone here to represent him, I didn't see his son. His son said he would be here tonight, but apparently he didn't. So here we go. Richard Allshouse, Steve Baird, Jerry Beckman, this next fellow I'm going to introduce to you, he ran in the Boston Marathon this year. And we all know what happened there, but I believe he said he crossed the finish line right before the disaster there. Ray Cassiano. Mickey Connor. Mickey couldn't be with us tonight. He had an engagement. He'll be a big speaker tomorrow at a convention out in California. And he sends his regards to you guys, that he would love to have been here. Robert Davis. Gary Good. James Dix. Good friend of mine here. Jerry Durrett. Donald Foltz. Ronnie Foltz. Mike Goings. Jim Hyman. Doug Hyman. Bill Hodge. Bill Johans. Joe LaFountain. Harry Manley. Bill Mott. Robert Nunneman. Mike Paulus. Steve Penn. Joe Ramone. Rex Riot. Richard Reinhardt. Steve Reinhardt. Joe Sanchez. Bernie Scott. Robert Vance. Jack Webb. And Jim Williamson. Now that I have the coach up here, turn on, Coach, let me see. I'd like to have Mike Goings, Bill Hodge, Jim Hyman, Joe LaFountain, Joe Ramone. These are 5 of the 6 members of the state championship team. The 6th member, Mickey Connor, was unable to attend tonight. Now, I'm going to hand the mic over to the coach and let him say a few words.
Paulding High School is very much like the high school I graduated from. And also Jim Cox, I have to give his father credit for my being here because I had not been a head coach. I had hardly even been an assistant coach till I came here. And this group that you see around here is more than a track team. They came 1 win from being an undefeated football team. And there's just, I have so many great memories in 2 years here. Now, this group of guys here, you know, it's a shame that I could take too long to give you stories about all these guys, but this group, we'll share a couple things with you about them. You don't win a state championship by sitting on your bottom. And these guys, Joe Ramone, a freshman, didn't have a way in. I would drive out early in the morning and pick him up and he would come in to practice. Joe LaFountain, there were times when I would put the lights on the field at night and he would practice. Mike Goings, well, Mike's a story all by himself. Anyway, and Bill Hodge, your dad was a minister, wasn't he? Yeah. And let's see, and Jim Hyman. Anyway, these guys, I'm just going to recount something that, would Jim come up here, and Joe come up here, Mike come up here, Joe come up here. Now, usually, Mike Goings would anchor, but we're in a state track meet, and it becomes important at that time that you have the inside exchange. So we go for a walk, and my thought is I want Mike Goings to run the lead-off leg and get us in first place and get us on the inside exchange. Well, that meant Joe LaFountain was going to have to anchor. Joe was not thrilled about anchoring, but anyway, he finally accepted it. So Mike ran the first leg, got us in the first exchange, and we're on the inside, and we hand the baton off to a little old freshman, Joe Ramone. And believe it or not, Joe brings it around, and he's with a team from Columbus, and we're still in the race. Hands off to Jim Hyman. Jim is a hurdler, but he helped us on the mile race, and he went around the track, and he brought it in breast to breast with a runner from a Columbus school. Handed off to Joe Ramone. Joe Ramone goes around the track, his knee lift stays up, and coming into the last turn, you could see the Columbus runner's knee lift not coming as high, and Joe Ramone crossed the line probably 10, 15 meters in the lead. And now, that wasn't the only thing. We couldn't win the state unless a team from Cincinnati, the Polaris, did not place. Fortunately, they did not place, and these guys, it's one of the greatest memories of my life, and this group right here is responsible for it. So what did I say? Joe the Fountain, I meant. Yeah, God, yeah. So, now, I will say this. Joe and Mike and Joe were not quite as robust then as they are now. Okay? But anyway, Paulding is a great memory. These guys are a great memory. My 2 years here with football and track were two of the best my whole life, and I just thank everybody for it. God bless.
Dominated on both sides of the ball, as they were the leading offensive and defensive team in the Northwest Conference, and they outscored their opponents by 34 points a game. They finished as the 12th ranked team in Division III in the state of Ohio by the Associated Press, with the highlight of the season.
And all those times, we still haven't had another undefeated team. So this team is very special to me. Cheerleaders, managers, staff people, everybody that had anything to do with the team. When I think about this team, again, I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but team is the thing that I think of. We had all the pieces that we needed to do it, to have it an excellent team. Guys didn't care what position they played. They didn't care what their job was. They weren't concerned about somebody else's stats and all that. We had some great stats, though, that year. But I think we may have not been the most talented in the whole state, but I dare you to find a group that was more of a team. And that's what made us successful. So I'm so proud of you guys. Proud of those guys. Congratulations to all those guys over there. I'm from Paulding. You didn't have this on the chart for me to say, Dave. So anyway, I'm just very proud and happy for all these people. I'd like to introduce our team real quick and cheerleaders. So as I call your name, please come forward. We're going to do the coaches first, and these guys have remained my friends throughout all these years. So I'd like to introduce them first. Assistant Coach Barry Lytle, please step forward. Assistant Coach Dave Parrish. Assistant Coach Brad Stoller. And we also had Assistant Coach Mark Wooten. And before I do the players, I'd like to also recognize Coach Clark. Coach Clark was my coach when I was in high school, and then when I came back to Paulding, I was an assistant for him for 4 years. One of those teams also being undefeated, and he has been a big part of Paulding football for a long time. And so I'd like to thank him and for his influence and everything that he's done for Panther football. So thank you. He also worked for me when I came back. He was my freshman coach when I was the head coach. So I got to tell him what to do a couple times. Okay. What I'd like to do is introduce the sophomores, the class of 91. Okay, so when I say your name, please come forward. Cheerleaders, Kelly Wiles. Kelly Wiles, okay. Suzanne Lehman Boyer. Okay, Heather Rush Mose. Heather. And then we do have some freshmen here also. We weren't sure all of them, so we're going to ask the freshmen to come forward. If you were a freshman on that team that dressed and played sometimes with us, please come forward as a group and be recognized at this point. The freshmen, thank you. Good job, guys. Next we have number 61, Rich Bennett. He played guard for us. Okay. Next, Scott Fisher, number 42, wide receiver. Number 60, Junior Gonzalez, tackle and a nose guard. 72, Charles Gonzalez, tackle. Number 88, Eugene Mathis, wide receiver. Eugene here, he's probably out running laps. 38, Donnie Marigold, tailback. Number 21, this gentleman is also a member of the Paulding Athletic Hall of Fame, Tim Flippo, tight end. Number 81, Eddie Scott was a wide receiver. Number 40, Chris Seacrest, wide receiver. Number 65, Joe Woods, nose guard. Yes, Joey. Number 53, Eric Yenser was a guard. Okay, the juniors on this class. Cheerleaders, Shannon Branch Schaefer. No, okay. Angie LaFountain Boyd. Welcome back, Angie. Sherry Myers. Rachel Roslett. Regina Schaefer. All right. Next, the juniors, football players. Number 57, he was an all-conference player. Neil Egner, strong safety. Number 87, wide receiver, Neil Ely. Number 43, wide receiver, Todd Figge. Number 1, quarterback, Tony Hollis. Number 79, Pat Johnson. Number 32, I know he's here, fullback and linebacker, Jerry Rasman. Number 82, slot back, Pat Riley. Pat here? Okay. Number 68, Teddy Stahlbaum. Defensive end, tackle. Number 26, Kevin Stork, wide receiver. Number 10, this guy was a quarterback, a safety on defense, and he was also all-conference, Chad Weidenhammer. Number 56, also an all-conference player, offensive guard, defensive tackle, Mike Winter. At tight end and defensive end, number 25, Matt Yoder. Side note, a lot of these guys are coming from far away. They're coming from North Carolina, all different places. Senior class. Recognize the senior class. Go seniors. Okay, cheerleaders. Dina Ash. Chelsea Cassiano. I would say they're married names, but I can't pronounce them, so I remember them as Cassiano. Catherine Clark. Catherine here? No, okay. Shelley Shaver. And now our seniors. Number 23, Eric Sarver. Is Eric here? Okay. He's probably in the weight room. I looked at the yearbook before I came and it said he had like best body or something in there. I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Number 85, Todd Vogel. One of the Vogel brothers. Number 20, he was an all-conference defensive back, Greg Young. Okay. Number 22, wide receiver, Tim Slagle. Offensive guard, number 63, Steve Fitch. Number 24, a cornerback and a slot back, all-conference player, John Maurer. At tackle, number 66 is Hank McDonald. At fullback and linebacker, an all-conference player also, Big Jim Minzy. I'd like to run behind him if I was a tailback. Number 80, defensive end and tight end, Craig Miller. At center and nose guard, a first-team all-conference selection, number 54, Dave Sluss. Also, a special recognition to Dave. He did a lot of the organizing for our group and did way above and beyond. So thank you to Dave for everything he's done. Big number 71 at defensive tackle, all conference, Todd Weidenhammer. Also, defensive tackle, number 78, Marlon Winchester. At middle guard, offensive guard, first team all conference was number 64, Dave Winter. Next, this guy not only played here, he also coached for me a couple different times and had a great career. He was first team all conference as a quarterback. He also is a present member already of the Paulding Athletic Hall of Fame. Our quarterback, number 12, Tony Vogel. Next, big number 75, offensive tackle, all conference, also honorable mention, all Ohio, all state, was Scott Straley. And then we had at number 89, at split end defensive end, he was also our kicker. He was first team all conference. He was also first team all state in the state of Ohio. Number 89, Rob Kessler. Okay, is that everybody? Is that everybody? Is that everybody? That's it? Is that everybody? Oh, I got one more. Okay, I got one more. Number 36, if you remember, tailback, linebacker. I'll read a few things, not all of them. I'll read a few things. First team all conference as a running back. First team all conference as a linebacker. First team all Ohio as a linebacker. Division III all Ohio lineman of the year. Northwest Conference player of the year. Associated Press Ohio lineman of the year. Associated Press Ohio Mr. Football finalist, number 36, our tailback, Max Heifru. On behalf of the 88 team, I'd like to congratulate the other teams that are being honored here tonight. It's great to see you gentlemen here. Congratulations and thank you for all you've done. Thank you for all your support out there. Let's go get the Panthers supported and get after it. I'd like to bring up Roger Sear at this time. Thank you, everyone.